Thank you all, and thank you, Shilton, for joining us tonight. So perhaps a bit of an introduction question first. What's Paul John whiskey, and where does it come from?
Okay, so hi everyone. This is Shilton here from Paul John. Paul John whiskies come from India, from Goa. The distillery is based about 10 kilometers away from the sea, very close to the sea in Goa on the west southwest of India. It's 100% Indian whiskey. When I say 100%, everything which goes in the whiskey is from India itself. The company was started in 1996 by Mr. Paul P. John till he set up the distillery in 2008. So with single malt whiskies, we have 8 different expressions to offer in the international market. We also have some blended whiskies for the Indian market only. But we'll talk about a lot more about that later.
What was the company doing between 96 and 2008? Also doing alcohol, or?
Yes, John Distilleries is the parent company. We got into in the market with a brand called as Original Choice. Original Choice is one of the top selling whiskey brand in the world. It's an Indian whiskey. It's not, you cannot categorize it as whiskey over here, but we sell about 1 million cases a month. That's how big that brand is. Yeah,
that's huge.
That's huge. And plus there's rum, there's brandy, there's wines that the company makes. Still single malt came in the picture in 2008.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what about yourself? How did you get into whiskey, and what's your story regarding Paul John?
It's an interesting one. My whiskey journey started in 2006 when I started working in travel retail in the Middle East. I used to work with Qatar Airways at Doha Airport in the duty-free store selling whiskeys. Spent 5 years working in the shop selling whiskeys. One of the most toughest job, I would say, because you're selling a lot of expensive whiskeys, but you cannot try any of them because you're not allowed to drink them. The closest you could get is whenever there is a damage and a bottle falls on the floor, you can only smell it. That's the closest you could get. That's how I started. So it's more about the curiosity of how whiskey is made, and you start learning by yourself. Till 2012, when I joined John Distilleries in India, working in Goa. And after 3 years, I moved to Europe, looking after the European markets today.
Okay, cool.
So all the brands I heard of or sold in the duty free at that time, those are the brands I'm hunting for now to give them a try.
And the story of Indian whiskey is definitely interesting, because 10 to 15 years ago, no one ever heard of the stuff, and then all of a sudden, both Paul John and Amrut emerge to the surface and take the whiskey world by storm.
A lot of people do not know this. Whiskey making goes way back in the 18th century in India. It's during the British Raj that when a man, Edward Dyer, moved to India, and he set up the first distillery up north in a place called as Kasauli. If you ever heard of Solon number 1 was the first whiskey which came out. There are plans of it coming back again, which I've heard, or maybe already out in India. So that's when the first distillery was set up. But after independence in 1947, the production of whiskey was hampered because there isn't enough barley for people to eat. Why do you want to make alcohol? And that's how people or companies moved to molasses-based spirit, for example, which is more cheaper, and selling whiskey, okay, if you can call it whiskey in India. 2004 is when Amrut started, came out, and 2012 Paul John launched in the UK.
And why did Paul John choose to go in a different direction and leave the molasses behind, and specifically choose or make the choice for
even today,
barley-based whiskey?
Yeah, even today, the Original Choice is a big brand for us. That's our big main brand, more than Paul John. As a single malt. Mr. Paul P. John, who started the company, on his travels, he tried a lot of single malts. And in short, it's one man's passion to come up with a whiskey. And he said, why don't I start my own single malt, put up my own distillery, and come out with a world-class whiskey, which I can offer to the world. but he also wanted to keep it 100% Indian, not getting anything. So the only two things that will be coming out of India for us is the cask and the peat to make the peated whiskey. Otherwise, everything goes from India. So that's following that rule. It's not been easy. He's been traveled. He even traveled to Scotland, tried the water, took the water back and see and compare it, what the water we get in Goa. The water in Goa is soft and sweet. So, well, it worked out very well. And he said, I'm going to start. So it's kind of a risk, I would say, to start because there is no distillery before. But yeah, it's been a successful journey so far.
So it wasn't specifically to cater for a European market or anything. It was just the pioneering spirit, so to speak, of Mr. John. That
it's not exactly to cater to specific markets. It was more about launching it, and the whole idea of launching it in the UK first is to get a feedback of how people accept it, or what do they think about it. Even today, if you look at it, most of the expressions, we launch it overboard and see we try it out first and see what people, what feedback we get. And that's exactly the whole idea, was launching it in European market first and then launching it in India. Launching in India is not so easy because every state has got its own excise rules. So launching in Goa itself, where it's made, it's easier, but getting it to another state, shipping it to other state, transporting is not easy. You can't sell alcohol more than 50% in all the states. So there are so many rules there, which, you have to be careful. So the whole idea was, okay, let's launch in Europe first or internationally and get the feedback. It's recognized internationally and then launch it in back home.
So it's pretty comparable to the laws they have in the United States, where it's also very difficult to ship from one state to another. And and does the, when it got picked up in Europe, did that change the way people looked at because you have the old tradition of molasses-based whiskey in India that goes back for over 100 years, as you rightfully say. And then all of a sudden, these two companies start making barley-based single malt. How did people react initially in India?
In India or in Europe?
Yeah, in both in India and in Europe, and or overseas market.
Internationally, in the UK, I've been kicked out of many bars when I said it's an Indian whiskey. No. It's a different, very interesting thing, because in India the market has changed a lot. People have started appreciating the liquid, its own Indian whiskey, and with the challenges of not getting your hands on international brand, not getting your hands on a Scotch whiskey in India because of the taxes, the people have started moving to their own Indian whiskey. But at the same time, people, I mean, I think it's a challenge for every brand in every market that most of the people drink label and not a whiskey. And that's a problem we face every time. The same challenges back home as well. But it has changed. You see that the economy segment, which is the cheap brands in India, that's going down, and your premium brands are growing in the market. So which is a good sign. It has changed definitely in the last 10 years I've seen. Internationally, it's been a great journey for me itself, being in here for 6 years now, and getting the brand out in every bar and every festival. I've seen people going from, oh, Indian whiskey, what is that about? I had been to India, I had tried a whiskey in India and I did not like it. So now we are referring to that molasses spirit, And for me to convince them, saying it's a single malt, try it. At that stage, 5 years back to today, when you will see people coming to the stand and say, oh, I've got a Brilliance, what else do you have? Or do you have something new, Shilton? I've tried them all. So which is a good sign, because people are aware of the brand today from where it was before.
So there was a bit of a skepticism perhaps at first, but that soon changed for the better then.
Yeah, trust me, the comments that we get, Mano, during festivals every time, and you talk about, oh, Indian whiskey, is that spicy, kind of a comment. Or you talk to it saying it's a single malt whiskey coming from India, and after having a sip of it and enjoying it, I even heard someone saying, oh, so where in Scotland is this from? I'm like, hold on, it's a whiskey from India.
Yeah.
So you get that, but now
Mhm.
people are referring. They bring their friend along and say,
Mhm.
you know, you should try this. I tried it last year or
Mhm.
somewhere. You should give it a try, and which is good
Yeah.
because the brand awareness is out there and people are aware of
Mhm.
it.
And indeed, the quality is definitely on par with what's coming out from Scottish distilleries as well. Because I think if you would put a lot of whiskies from Paul John or Amrut in a blind lineup, it would be difficult for people to tell that which one's the Indian whiskey.
Yeah. Well, I've seen a lot of people. I mean, people, good friends in Belgium itself, when they travel up in Scotland, they will bring something when they go up for a festival, and they just do it blind and ask people, especially bold, which has got the bold has got peat from Islay and Indian grain. So if you put it in blind tasting, you can easily confuse someone of where this is coming from. And it's not an easy guess. So blind tasting, I mean, I love a blind tasting, and that's, I think, the best way of understanding the liquid.
And regarding the success or the recognition, do you see other distilleries in India following the path that the two of you, both Amrut and Paul John, have walked?
Yeah, see a lot of people, a lot of new whiskies coming in. There are new brands out in the market. Plus, we have also opened up a visitor center in Goa at the distillery where people can come in and we take them for a tour. So it's quite educational. There are other brands coming in. There is Rampur out in the market. There is Comet out in. I've not tried the Comet. I don't think you get it over here in the UK because I've been trying to get my hands on. But it's available in Europe, so that's a very new one. There are also brands of I also heard about Solon Number One, the first whiskey which I mentioned. They are coming back again as well. So there are a lot more coming in because I mean it's easy. People understand of Indian whiskey being out in the market. People do accept it. It's more about, it's not what it was 10 years back or 20 years back, and it's a different thing today. So yes, I can see a lot more brands coming out as well, which is exciting, which is good.
Yeah, definitely. It will help strengthen the concept of Indian whiskey as a category in its own right, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I have always said this. People say, "Where do you want to see in the future? What do you want to see, Shilton?" And whenever someone says, I always say, when you walk into a bar and you see the menu list, the whiskey list, and you always see categorized as Scotch, American, and then you go as a world whiskey. It won't be long when you categorize that as an Indian whiskey or a Japanese whiskey and put them separately because of the number of whiskeys or distilleries are there in that category. So it won't be far till you see that, and definitely it will be a lot to see, because I mean, if you see, there are 3 whiskeys from India today. There are a lot coming from Japanese whiskeys in there, so the category increases. So definitely, yes, I will love to see that. I'm sure I'll see it at some point.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see the rise of Indian whiskey just coinciding or happening at the same time as the international whiskey boom we're seeing today. So you think that's a bit of a happy coincidence, or is there more to it, do you think?
No, it's the whiskey. I mean, the category itself is increasing, and at the same time, if you look at this, we mentioned about the different expressions that we had before, and you have a whiskey of different style for different palates. So, for example, if someone comes to the Paul John table or the portfolio, there is a whiskey which, I mean, now with the Oloroso and the PX as well, and the future releases, there is a whiskey for different people, different style. It could be not the one you like, but there is a different style, your kind of style, everybody's style, peated, lightly peated, everything and on the thing. So yes, it is changing, it is helping. There will be a lot more. I know Amrut is doing a great job with their expressions. There is Rampur coming with some really exciting stuff as well. Yes, it is booming.
And do you feel, in generally speaking, I've got an opinion about it, but I'm holding it to myself at the moment. Is there something typical about Indian whiskey, a specific character or profile, like you could find in bourbon, or is it just too broad and too diverse like it is with Scotch whiskey, where you can't say, oh, it's typically Indian whiskey.
I always say this. I mean, the best way to do is try. But if you cannot try it and see if you like it, the best way to put this across in one line, I say the Indian whiskey is like something in between a Scotch and a bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
It's somewhere in between these two. If I had to put it across, it's because we use ex-bourbon cask again. The faster the extraction rate, which is higher for us, we extract a lot. When I've got a whiskey over here, and that's all natural colors. It's only a 6
Mm-hmm.
years old whiskey, so you get a lot coming in from that in a short time. So it's
And
somewhere
what
in between.
are you drinking? Are you also on the Nirvana tonight?
I'm on the Nirvana, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On the Nirvana. So that's somewhere in between, or the edited.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you about the edited later, Anthony. It's some interesting stories in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it's somewhere in between on the flavor profile as well. You get this. You get the flavors are quite very oily, long finish. The texture on it, so you get a very long finish on and big on tropical fruits. So yes, in short, it's in somewhere in between a Scotch and a bourbon in my lines.
Yeah, because the Nirvana is your entry-level whiskey. It's 40%, but it doesn't act like a 40%. A lot of people who are this is gonna sound like I'm being a bit of a snob here, but people who are more advanced on their whiskey journey often find 40% ABV whiskeys to be a bit thin or watery or flat, and to me that's definitely not the case for the Nirvana.
No.
It actually punches above its weight, so to speak.
Yeah, Nirvana itself, Nirvana is about what, 4 years old liquid in it. It's unpeated. It's an entry-level whiskey, but I will say, put it this way: compare it with other 40% whiskeys which you get in the market. Compare it with that price tag, and then you can justify that. Will you be getting something better at the same price? I think that's how I would pick up a bottle from a supermarket for myself. So putting it in that same price tag and looking at the flavor profile is the best way of guessing it. It's also at 40%. It's not at 46 or 55. It's an easy sipper. It's an all day, anytime dram. Whenever you want to have it, it won't disappoint you. That's a kind of a dram.
So the profile, it's based on the color. I would say there's quite a lot of first fill bourbon casks that gone into this.
It's first and second fill American oak cask. It's all natural color. Nirvana is the only whiskey which is chill filtered in the range. The rest are all non-chill filtered whiskey, but natural colors in this one, all of them.
Menno, Nick had a question in the chat. If you can bring him in to ask it.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys. Hi, Shilton.
Hi, Nick.
I was just, while you were talking about the sort of different markets, so could you just give us an idea of the how much of the Paul John whiskey is sort of kept and sold in India, and then what the big export markets are in terms of total, but also the ones that are growing really quickly for you?
Yeah, so Indian market versus the international market, the Nirvana sells a lot in India. We sell that more. It's also because it's priced for that. It's a price conscious market. Remember that. So Nirvana works very well. We sell more of that compared to internationally. But the code range, we sell more in the international market compared to the Indian market. Well, in total, we'll be selling about 40,000 cases maybe of the Nirvana today or a year back, but most of it is sold in India itself. Market-wise, France has always been a big market. I think it's a big market for everyone. Nirvana came in, we launched Nirvana because of France. They were the guys who came out saying, can we have a brand for the supermarket? And the whole plan was coming out with that whiskey only for France. But then we said, okay, let's release it for every market. So France is a growing market. Germany and UK in Europe. America, USA is the big market. Well, it's big. So you say every time you see the numbers, like, oh, it's a big market, but look at the size of it. It's something like India. I mean, I always say this will be the biggest market for us and growing. Last year, during all the crisis that we went to, I think markets like Sweden, Denmark, and Poland have performed really well, like grew a lot in the last year for us. I hope it remains the same, because it's not been a great year for all of us in the industry. But I think these three markets work really well. Indian market, again, if people in India stop drinking everything else and just start drinking their own whiskey, trust me, guys, there won't be enough whiskey for exports. It's 1.4 billion liters per year that they consume. So that's, I mean, the population itself is about 1.6 billion people. And I always say it's like 1 liter per person.
That's incredible. And do you feel, you said, or you touched upon the Nirvana being a very price conscious whiskey, but perhaps the success is also something to do with the name. I think it's the first of your whiskeys that actually refers to Indian culture and religion, and it even has the elephant on the packaging.
Yeah.
All very more Indian marketed or profiled than your other expressions, I would say.
Yeah, it's been a long chase, and you know, a lot of emails going back and forth to get out that one, because if you look at the range, there wasn't that Indian element to it before. Slowly, if you look at it, some of the expressions compared to what it was 3 or 4 years back has got the elephant logo on it now. That's the small thing, but this one, Nirvana,
I'm looking at I've got another bottle, the Christmas edition, and on the bottom you see indeed the two elephants.
So that none of that was there 3 years back when or something. Nirvana came in. It was more, as I said, if it's coming for a supermarket brand in France and keeping it as Indian, I think that color and that packaging stands out great on the shelf. So that was the whole idea of that. But if you look at the Oloroso and the PX, it has got a lot of Indianness as well into it. It has got the names imprinted, which is in Hindi. So it also says Oloroso Select Cask in Hindi written on it. So yes, there is an Indian element coming up. The packaging wise, it's coming in a lot of those. Kanya, for example, the limited edition is an Indian word as well for Virgo. And then there is Mithuna for Gemini. So yes, there are a few of those elements coming in.
And what was the reason the Nirvana was created? Was it specifically meant to create an entry-level whiskey to introduce people to the range?
Yeah. Nirvana will be but it's not only to the range. It's more about Nirvana coming in as a stepping stone to single malts. For us, if you're looking at being educational, even back in India, where people have been drinking blends all their life. I'm talking about Scotch blended whiskeys all their life. And the only reason they will drink, if you ask someone, is because it's a good whiskey. You're like, what do you like about it? Well, it's a good whiskey. It's a Scotch whiskey. To change that takes me to my first point, which I said, there's a difference between label drinking and a whiskey drinking. So that's how the mentality is. And you're converting those people to drink a single malt. I think Nirvana is the perfect bet. If someone says, I want to try a single malt, I've never tried, and educate people on it, Nirvana comes in the picture, not only for Paul John, but even for any single malt starting up. Not go high, 40% ABV, easy sipping, see what you think about it, try it out. If you like it, go one step up, go to 46%, go to your cask strength, single cask. So it is a stepping stone to single malts and also to the range in the Paul John.
I think
Menno,
a question
Frank
from
had a
other people. Yeah,
question,
Frank had a question. Yeah, go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, now from the heart. The climate in Goa is way different than, for example, in Scotland. So the aging of the whiskey when stored in Goa will be way different than, for example, in Scotland. You mentioned 4-year-old. That 4-year-old can be comparable for, let's say, a 12-year-old in Scotch whiskies. Do you only store it in the vicinity of Goa, or do you also store it, for example, in north in the hills to make it more a colder climate or so?
No, so we do it in Goa itself. I wouldn't say it matures faster. I would say the extraction rate is higher. Is the right answer. The extraction rate from the wood is about 3 to 4 times faster than Scotland. So that's how much you extract from the wood because of the heat. we're looking at an average temperature of 23 and 25 degrees Celsius. Now, this is average. In the month of May, it can shoot up to even 40 and 45. The lowest it can go is 17 or 19 degrees, which we call as winter during Christmas. I'll be happy if I see 17 over here in London myself. So that's how it is. Humidity wise, we're talking on an average of 40 to 45-ish percent humid. In the month of May, it can even shoot up to 95% humid. So it's very hot and humid climates up there. So you get a lot coming from the wood in short time. At the same time, we lose a lot of whiskey. The angel share for evaporation, we lose about 8 to 10% a year. So that's a lot of whiskey. I mean, only last year, the angel share wasn't much because we couldn't visit for our sales trip to the distilleries. So there's a lot of whiskey saved. But it's a very high angel share as well. Yeah. So to answer that, it's 3 to 4 times faster than Scotland.
Yeah. And you only store it in Goa. It's not,
yes, only. Sorry. We only do it in Goa at the distillery itself. With the tropical climates that we have, we do not do it out of Goa at this. I mean, it could be possible. It could be possible going ahead to maybe when things are different. But at the moment, because of every state having its excise structure, shipping out 200 liters in a cask, you'll end up paying double the money to ship it out from Goa to Mumbai, for example, or different state. The classic example is the Nirvana is about 1,500 rupees. It's about 15 or 16 euros maybe in Goa, because it's made locally, so you don't end up much taxes. That same liquid going to the next state, in Mumbai, in the same country, you will end up double. So you will pay about 30 euros, which you pay over here in India itself, just a neighboring state. So imagine shipping 200-liter cask just for storage, and that ABV, I don't think it's a good idea.
You made it very clear. Thanks.
Yeah, that's crazy, those excise laws and those taxes. Because you would expect that the tax and the excise was due after bottling and not when the spirit is still maturing. So and do you see that changing due to the success of the brands? Maybe get the lobby wheels in motion to do something about it, because I've heard that in some states the tax rate on whiskey is 150%.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I mean, it's 150%. I mean, that's why there are not many brands available in India today, like Scotch whiskies or international brands up in India. Classic example, when there was someone in India who bought a bottle of whiskey from a website based in Netherlands. The cost of that bottle was 70 euros on the website. By the time the bottle reached to the consumer in his hands, he ended up paying 300 euros from 70 euros. So that's how much taxes he ended up paying on it. So it's, yes, things will change. For example, selling 50% alcohol, 50% ABV wasn't allowed in many states, and Goa itself. So Paul John are the guys who started for the first time. Visitor center, selling alcohol at the distillery itself wasn't allowed. So we took the excise permit and said, okay, this is what it is. You need to explain to them what it is about. So we got it approved. So it's easier now because there is a law in the excise department, so that it's easy for another company to come in and just apply for the same, which we have done. So yes, there will be someone coming up and saying, I want to ship it to some other state and take the necessary permits for it. And then there will be a lot of other companies following it as well.
I know you're on
in mute, Menno.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask the rest of the people here how familiar they are with Paul John, and if they have a favorite they would like to ask questions to Shilton about.
Well, I must admit, I'm quite partial to the edited. To be honest, it was one of the first ones.
Shilton said he had a story to tell about that.
Did,
one, so
yeah.
I'm very
it was one of my
to hear that.
first kind of journeys into peat kind of helped me get to where I am now. Not that I don't drink it anymore, I still drink it, obviously, but it was it really kind of helped me on my journey with figuring out if I liked peat and what styles of peat I liked. And I think you to a certain extent as well, isn't it? Nick's still kind of in the middle of it, so she's still experimenting. But it was definitely one of the ones that I tried and thought, I can do this. This is kind of, you know, I enjoy these kind of profiles, so I love it, and it kind of got a soft spot for it. So, but then I'm hearing about all these other different ones in the chat that everyone's on about, and I want to try all these as well now. So this could be a very expensive chat.
No, it's very simple. I will categorize this that we have 3 flagships. One is the Brilliance, after Nirvana. So one is the Brilliance, then you have the Edited, which is lightly peated, and then we have the Bold. Now we ship the peat from 2 different regions in Scotland. We ship it from Islay and the Highlands. Bold uses only Islay peat. And then there is a peated select cask at 55% ABV in the range, which uses the Highland peat. Edited is a mixture of peated and unpeated whiskey, 75% unpeated and only 25% peated whiskey in it. So that's why you get this light hint of peat. It's a perfect whiskey, I would say, which is a very well-balanced whiskey. It's something which, if you are new to a peated whiskey, and if you want to start your journey and understand what a peated whiskey is, I think that's where you should start with the range. And then you have the select cask, 55% ABV classic, which is big tropical fruits, peated, which is big, sharp. As I said, it uses the Highland peat. And you have the Oloroso and the PX, which are more on your sweeter expressions in the range. Edited is something, if you have a bottle unopened, then you should consider keeping it aside. I would say it's a core range. It's a core range today, but won't be for long. So. Okay.
Is that good to know? Is that going to be? Is it going to be replaced or just ended, or is it going
to? Not replaced. Not replaced. It's because it has been a great journey of an educational of Indian peated whiskey. But then Bold comes in, and Bold has been doing really well for us. And so it's easy to keep one unpeated and one peated, and the lightly peated one is, well, it's not at the moment with those 2 doing well. So the focus lacks on that one. So it won't be for long. It's if you have 1 or 2 aside. Yeah.
Do you think you'll have
inside information?
Yeah.
I didn't say this. No. Can you edit this part?
What's said in the chat room stays in the chat room.
We'll edit that out.
We'll edit that out. Yeah.
Can you just put a beep? Like.
It only goes to CO, so it's not fully out there in the world. But yeah, we love it. So it's like I say, it helped us discover our journey. So which is all we can ask for. Really.
If you like your cocktails, I've seen you guys talking in your channel a lot about cocktails every time. One of the beautiful thing I like with the Edited is just because it is lightly peated. I like it with some crushed ice and ginger ale. That's a lovely whiskey to have it on a nice summer day with some lemon, and you can also try it with some cinnamon in it.
Oh, nice!
It really stands out with those cinnamony flavors and light cinnamon flavors in the whiskey, and that ginger ale is a perfect refreshing drink, I think.
So, forgive me for asking the question, but so your most heavily peated one that you do is Bold.
Heavily peated one we do is called as the peated select cask.
Peated select
cask, which is that one in the green color one.
Okay, got you. Yeah. Do you think you'll ever go more than that, or do you think that's as?
No, I don't think we will go more than that. We do a peating level. We do it is at 50 ppm. Well, it goes down by the time it is bottled. We'll see at 35 ppm.
Right. Okay.
So even a single cask you'll find in Paul John, a peated single cask will be about 35 ppm, 35 to 40 max.
Cool, brilliant. Thank you for that. Can't wait to try it. Anyone else got a question? I think we've got a few that we've written down here. Someone asked, is there an award you would like to win that you haven't won yet? Because you've just had a big win, haven't you? So you've had a gold, bronze and silver in the awards, haven't you?
And a personal one as well earlier this year.
And a personal award, yeah, probably the best one you can have, a new baby.
As a award that we want to have as a company, it's never enough. Every time, it's always refreshing. It's good for a brand to build up, so I don't think there is any award which we have not won any year. Maybe not this year, but last year or the year before. There is always some. I've lost track, to be honest. I'll be very honest. I've lost track about it, and I've been telling you guys before. I always keep checking with our marketing guys, and it's not. Even they are not up to date of what's happening in the market. So there are so many awards. Because some of them are, the distributor apply for it. We are not aware of it, and then we realize only after we win it. So yes, there are a lot which the distillery is winning. It could be every other awards that you heard of. I've heard of them winning it something in there. Personally, I've won one award last month, so I'm happy with my awards.
Because obviously since you've started, are there other Indian distilleries that you're kind of hearing about that are coming online that we might not know about? Not that I'm asking you to tell us, but has the landscape changed a lot with regards to whiskey kind of production in India since you started?
Yeah, there are quite a few. There is even a lot of gins coming out from Goa today, from India today. So a lot of gins being coming out in the international market. I'm sure you guys seen on the shelves. Whiskies, Rampur. Rampur is based up north of India, so it's a very different profile. I never taken any personally. I don't think any of the 3 distilleries out in the market today are competitors, because they all come. It will be very wrong to compare any one whiskey to another whiskey, even if it is a Scotch coming from the same region. It is not fair, because every whiskey has got its own style and they are unique in its own way. So it is completely wrong to compare. This is my personal opinion. So I always say that the 3 distilleries are coming from 3 different regions. The water source is different. The style is different. So definitely it's a different liquid. It's about exploring it and finding your right whiskey. Comet is the one which is new. Menno mentioned this to me as well, and I've seen it. I couldn't find one in the UK, but I know it's back home available, so I can't wait to try it. I know it's available in Europe and European markets. So that is one whiskey on my list. Try it out if you get a chance to, and keep an eye. It's worth looking for that Solon number 1. Or Solon if they're coming in. If you ever get someone coming from India, it's worth trying that Solon number 1. It is a very old whiskey. It's very difficult to find, and of course the recipe has changed. The drink is different today if you get in the market, but it's just because it's been the first whiskey. So I will definitely want to get a bottle and try it. So I have heard they're coming back again in the market with whiskey again. So yeah, do keep your eyes open.
Over the years, the 10 odd years or the 12, 13 years that Paul John has been around as a single malt whiskey, how has even the core expressions that were around from the start, have those changed as well over time, or did you manage to keep some consistency
for us?
Regarding those?
For us, it's the Brilliance edited mold. When we came out first, the age has changed a little, but it's very difficult to, if you get a 2013 batch and compare it with a now recent batch of the Brilliance, for example. For example, you'll see a little difference, because you moved on from using a 4 years old whiskey to a 5 and 6 years old whiskey now. So that's the only change. Classic, the select cask, Classic, Peated, Oloroso PX are different batches. Every batch is not more than 30 casks. Michael, our master distiller, has always managed to keep the consistency going on at the moment, because they are small batches, so there will be a slight change here and there, but it's very difficult to find one, and it's interesting to just sit with 2 of those of different batches and trying it out. But otherwise, there is no big change, no big difference at all in what we had before.
And a question that just popped up. You started out as a molasses-based whiskey producer, and then you added in single malt, barley-based single malt. Did that require extra training from the people working there, or was it basically just? And where did you get it? If you had to retrain your staff to start making single malt as well?
Yeah, well, it's technically speaking, it's one-man show. Michael, a master distiller, who's been with us from the beginning, from the last 25 years or so, or more, I think now. From the beginning, he's been with us from all the time. So he was given the task of opening up the distillery by Mr. Paul. He said, "You got to do this, open up." And it was a big project. So he traveled across. He studied about it. He's even gone to. He traveled to Scotland, and the first thing he said is, "What is it that the guys in Scotland are not doing? So I will do that." And picked that up. He picked up what he wanted to do, and he got back in India and did his own. So if you look at the stills, even if you look up for the copper pot stills, if you look at the images, you'll see it's traditional copper pot still, double distillation. Nothing changes, but his own designs. Also considering that the temperatures for us are huge, it's a big difference in that. So you have to consider that. And plus you're using a 6-row barley. So it's not that you do not get a 2-row barley. We do get a 2-row barley as well, but prefer to use a 6-row barley because of the profile of it. Few changes here and there, the lineup going up so that you get more interaction. Fermentation is 60 hours plus another 15 hours of rest to get more fruitier. So few changes here and there, but otherwise it's everything same. Yeah, Michael is to answer that. Michael has been doing a lot of research of how to do it, and then he's started up.
So is it basically the Taketsuru of India when it comes to whiskey a bit? Yeah.
Yeah. Even for the taste wise, when the new make, it's all sensory. I mean, we don't have to lock up the safe. It's all sensory that they do. Michael, well, he's training other guys now. There's a team that who they are working with him, and he's always training them. So it's more sensory, and then again try it out before cutting it.
And in terms of size, how big is Paul John? Because it seems to be readily available in most specialized stores, in supermarkets even. So I'm getting the idea it's a pretty big distillery, but then you say it's pretty much one guy running the whole operation. That's incredible.
No, we have a team. He is the guy, but he has got a team he's trained. There are, from what I seen from 2012 at the distillery where Michael has been running around, it's been him, and then he's got the team now to do it. We do about 4,000 liters a day. We distill about 4,000 liters of new make every day. And we have capacity of about 1.5 million liters a year. So we are not that big, but we're not very small as well. We are. The only challenge is that we cannot be keeping the whiskey in the cask for a long time. We have to bottle it, and if you have to bottle it, you have to sell it. You can't just give it. So that's how Nirvana helps a lot with the volumes, and it just goes out.
Yeah, because after 5 or 6 years, your cask would be half empty, obviously. Yeah.
200 liters going in one cask. If we do the calculation, 20 years, 10% a year, there's that much left in it.
Okay, what about other people here tonight? What are your favorite expressions from Paul John, or what are you curious to try? Let's get the group involved a bit.
I'm wondering, are you going to... Oh, I'm sorry, John. Go ahead, Nick.
Hello. Go on, you go first. Go on.
So, we had a hard time finding the Mars Orbiter because we fell in love with it after a tasting with Karai. And it took us a while to locate 2 of them because I just realized that when I like one, I just buy 2. Because I kill one and then I'm like, I just need to buy 2. Are you going to...
You just need to say because. It was like the because.
Yeah, but because. Why not? Buy 2.
I've just learned that I kill a bottle and then I'm really mad at myself for not buying 2. So are you going to have another one that's kind of like that? I mean, I know that you did that as a rarity. So are you going to do another one?
Mars Orbiter?
Yeah, or something.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Mars Orbiter was only 325, I think, if I'm not wrong,
Okay.
bottles. Mars Orbiter is a wetting of 2 casks, one peated, one unpeated cask put together. It's been it's because of the Mars Orbiter mission by India to Mars, and that's named after that as in memory. You will not get it. I mean, if you're looking for, there will be a lot of stores in Europe as well where you can find it. I know a lot of guys in the States, and they buy it from the European stores. Getting into the States itself is, for us, is like jumping out of the frying pan and getting into fire, because you're dealing with excise again back there coming from India. So it's not easy. There won't be any Mars Orbiter, but there will be limited releases coming up.
Okay.
Remember that we have still not released any of the oldest whiskey yet, so could be something coming out with that as oldest, like 1 cask. When we do those whiskeys, we do it. We only get limited 200 bottles or so. So it's difficult to get it to everyone. We try to do it on allocations. It's 325 bottles for the world is never enough, never going to be enough. The Kanya and the Mithuna, which are the Zodiac releases, are something that we do. Kanya, we did about 3,500-ish bottles for the world. Mithuna, we did 7,000 globally for the global market. 7,000 bottles globally is still not enough. Trust me. Still
I mean,
not
it
enough.
it was hard enough. We found one, and then because of Korai, I was able to, be able to try to get another one. But I'm starting a women's whiskey group here in the LA area, and so Korai is very kindly hooking me up with some tasting samples, and so I'm very lucky to be able to have that. And I know that with New Drummers, I'm going to be linking a lot of these women, because here's the problem. Look, here I am, and there's not many women. This happens to me all the time. All the time.
They're all off stage, Lisa. They're all off stage. No, they're still there in the group. They're off stage.
No, it is getting better. But I mean, if you visit festivals, pardon the expression, it's still pretty much a sausage fest. It's mainly still guys walking around, and you see maybe 5 to 10% of the attendees are women.
Yeah, but I'm going
it's
to
changing,
say,
but it's changing slowly.
It is, but I'm going to say the half a dozen women that are in our group are phenomenal, and we know our stuff, and we're okay.
Yes, and those of us that are, growing the women into the nosing and the. I mean, I went to a in-person event a couple of Sundays ago, and it was really kind of cute because one of the women, I'm smelling this, and it was so cute because I'm smelling this, and we're talking about how some of the guys were laughing at her. I said, don't do that. That's why women stop going to these events. Stop laughing at the women when they're expressing this kind of thing. Don't laugh at them.
Yeah, and
you will not get that in our group. I have to say, the half a dozen women that are in there, the men have all got their back.
Yeah.
They all stick up for them.
I'm trying early with my children, so my girls go with me to whiskey tours, and Felicity, I think she was 3 at the time, she went and put her finger inside a cask, and then she tasted the whiskey. So I'm trying my best. I'm trying my wife to,
It's
starting young.
There are so many of it I've seen doing festivals, and there's so many which I work with as well as women in whiskey, which could be a whiskey club or tasting sessions or festivals. I mean, in the UK itself, I can talk of, and Belgium itself, I've got good friends up there every time. Menno knows this very well, who are into whiskey. I personally do it. Trust me, I will say this, every time there is a new whiskey or something which I'm trying, I will give the glass to my wife. She is not a whiskey drinker, and I will always say, tell me what you get on the nose. Trust me, she has given me notes which I could never find in it.
Absolutely.
And then I see some reviews somewhere, and she's like, I read about it saying butterscotch. I'm like, why is it that I'm the only person who's not getting butterscotch, and these two people are getting it? So that's how powerful and accurate it is. So I will always, if I get something new, I will always take a second opinion from a lady next to me and saying, tell me what you think about it. Because I think I will trust that palate more than myself, to be honest.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mick said it in the chat. Ladies do have a better nose than the guys.
Exactly.
And that's absolutely true. And there's in why it's getting better in whiskey. A lot more and more women are getting serious positions in the whiskey industry. In the wine industry, it's not even an issue anymore. I think the women outnumber the men easily, but in whiskey, it's still it's got that image from being a male kind of drink, and that's all wrong, and that's all down to stereotypes and decades of marketing targeting men mostly, I think so.
And the misogyny was recently challenged, wasn't it, from the Whiskey Bible? Because of those remarks, I think that's now being picked up now. Really, that culture is not accepted anymore.
The difference that we're going to have, other than women who whiskey, is that we're not going to be focusing on cocktails. Not that cocktails are a bad thing, because my husband is a lawyer who is into cocktailing. He's a mixologist himself, and that's fine. But I like my whiskey neat. That's just our difference. He likes cocktails. I like mine neat, and so we just have that difference. Although he has made me a really good, peated whiskey cocktail using this creme de violet, and it looks just like heather. I mean, the color of it is amazing. But the thing is, I really want women to not be intimidated by whiskey neat. I want them to really not think about it as something that they have to be intimidated by. Like they don't have to feel like they have to make it into a cocktail. It's fine to go the cocktail route if that's what you like. But I have a lot of women friends who feel like, oh my gosh, drinking something, whiskey neat is only for guys. I want to get them over that. That's okay. But I want to get them over that hump so that they can at least feel like, okay, well, if you want an old fashioned, fabulous. But let's taste what that Eagle Rare might taste like if you want to do that first. Let's taste what that Ardbeg tastes like first to see if you want to taste it, by itself and not be intimidated by it.
I can hand on my heart say all the women in our certified originals all do whiskey neat. However, that cocktail sounds amazing, so I'd like the recipe, please, because I like a cocktail.
No, just to add on, Eliza, if this helps, you're talking about not many women over here in a group, maybe, if that's a thing what you're talking about. I come from a country where drinking alcohol could be a sin. So, not everywhere, but there are certain parts of the country where it will be totally banned, and people will give you those big eyes if you see a woman drinking. Forget about cocktail, any alcohol. So we are doing far better in this group right now.
Well, I was born in North Ireland, and also drinking alcohol was a sin as well. So
there are certain states which is a dry state, you're not allowed. I mean, to point out it, Gujarat is a state in India which is a dry state. You don't get alcohol, you cannot buy alcohol. But the amount of alcohol which is being consumed in that state beats a lot other state, because people bring it from out of the state and drink it in the state when it's not allowed. So there are certain states over there like Kerala with the restrictions. And in the community itself, drinking alcohol, well, it has changed now a lot with the youngsters, with the party life back in Goa and all. But otherwise, it could be a glass of wine. If you could see them with a glass of wine, or maybe a cocktail. Drinking whiskey neat, tough one. I will say it's a much better scenario in this group and in this European countries rather than in India.
Shilton, I love glassware, so I like bottles. I love the shapes they come in. reviews that I do, I always do a little bit about the bottle because I just think that's a massive part of the experience of buying a whiskey in itself. I know Alyssa was showing us some of the bottles that she's got that aren't the same shape as the ones that we've had. Have you always had the same bottles in your core range, or has it changed over time, or is there any plans of changing in the future, or?
No, the bottles have always remained the same, except for the Mars Orbiter, which is a different shape of a bottle. Otherwise, even the Nirvana and the Kanya will be always the same shape of the bottle. Even the Nirvana is the only thing is that we've gone to the black ones compared to this. Otherwise, it's the same shape of the bottle. There could be a bit here and there and the design and on the logo changed, but the shape of the bottle is been the same. I don't see any change coming in the near future.
Okay.
It could be a limited edition, like only 200 bottles out. So maybe it works that way, but the core range, it could be going, it could be a point where everything will go maybe black or green as like this, but the shape will remain the same.
Awesome. And someone mentioned on social media today that it's exactly 6 months until Christmas Day. So what can we expect from your Christmas release this year?
No. We're fine. If I have mentioned about the attitude, I'm fine to mention about this. We are so every Christmas we come out with this Christmas edition. We started in 2018. Which we have my favorite Christmas edition one. I can see Mano showing the 2019, the green label one. We started in 2018. It's a limited release, but not priced very high. I'm sure you guys have seen it. It priced about 50-60 euros price mark on the market. It's more about everybody having a nice Christmassy dram. That's the whole idea. 2018 we came out with a mix of Oloroso, American oak peated whiskey, slightly peated whiskey. 2019, the one which Mano has got, and I think the one which Elisa has got as well with the green, is the one with the PX cask, which is the, I don't know, I would say, I don't know, it goes down so easy, man. I mean,
dangerously easy.
Dangerously easy. I mean, I know I sent a sample to Chris Loris Mano in Belgium.
Yeah.
He called me up and saying, Shilton, this is not good. I said, why? Because it goes down too easy. 2019 Christmas edition, which had the Pedro Jimenez ex-bourbon and peated. We did one last year, 2020, where we used virgin oak, Oloroso, and peated whiskey. Every time we do the Christmas edition, it will give you a clue of what's coming out from Paul John next year. So we did the 2018, next year was the Oloroso select cask, 2019 with the PX, and next year came out the PX. Last year we did the virgin oak, which we were working on, and you see the Mituna out today, which has got the virgin oak. This year's Christmas edition, we are planning to get it in early as August at least, because of all the Brexit delays and the shipment delays. So she'll be expecting it in the UK at least in September. What we are doing this year is we have got some Port Madeira coming into it. So there is some Port and Madeira used instead of the Oloroso and lightly peated. That means we have got some port and Madeira cask being matured. So the next year, the plan is to come with a select cask, just like the Oloroso or the PX. But a Christmas edition will give you a clue, a hint of what a Paul John in that cask type will show you. I have just received the sample yesterday myself. I have not tried it yet. I just want to sit down nicely because it's only a tiny sample. I'm like, no, I need to be nice and fresh to try that.
Try it. Come on, everyone.
Don't do it, Anthony. I'll tell you what, it's been so many tasting sessions, and during the end, I have opened up bottles from my collection, which I was not supposed to open. So, not doing something like that again. The next day in the morning, I just wake up, I'm like, wait, hold on. I was doing a Paul John tasting. How did I open that Leger from my collection? I'm like, so.
think Dan from the Somerton Club's one of the worst ones for that, because everybody knows you get him drunk at the start of the chat, he won't say a word. By the end of it, he's spilling the beans.
We like
everything.
drink and then answer the question.
Yeah, no. Dan and the guys have had some a great tasting. What was it? Not the Somerton one. The St. Albans, I think. St. Albans Whiskey Club. Yeah. I've done one with them recently as well. It was I love those guys. I've done one with them in person in the small pub that they do, and that was a few years back. I can't wait to get back to that pub.
We cannot wait to do that.
We've been invited down to play.
Is it Adam's Club?
Beer pong. So
we're up for the
we've
challenge.
got a beer pong
tournament going.
It's a tiny little pub. It's not a very spacious place to sit where the tasting is. I don't know if that has changed, but it's nice and cozy, and everyone's there. Dave Worthington is in there because I think he lives not far away from there.
That's it, yeah. Because you got like the wax house guys and everything, aren't you?
Ed has been there as well. Yeah, I was
just down there. Ed?
Yeah,
down that way, Ed, as well.
So I've just moved up from Southeast London. So Chilton used to come over to SE23 with Nico and the guys. So I've come for a few tastings. So it's good to see you, Nico. Good to see you, Chilton, tonight.
Awesome.
So yeah, I moved to Birmingham. This is our first week here. So
awesome. So whereabouts are you?
So we're quite close to Smithick, near the reservoir.
Okay, cool. So you're not that far at all then?
Yeah, so looking forward to yeah, I mean, it'd be good. Yeah, good to meet physically at some point, right?
Did you know?
So quick, buy tickets for the Birmingham.
I can't. I've gone onto the wish list, whatever the list is for September. So if anybody dies, could you let me know? I'll take their funeral.
Were you aware of those two living in Birmingham before you moved here, or
No.
Obviously, he can't be closer to us. Excuse me, we don't live in Birmingham. We live close to Birmingham.
Solihull, sorry.
Solihull.
Don't get us started.
Solihull is that's still in Birmingham. It's not far from Birmingham.
It is, yeah, pretty much.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
We did grow up in Birmingham.
Yeah,
I live in London, and from getting from one place in London to another, it takes 1.5 hours. So 20 minutes I will take it.
Yeah, that's local.
It's like a walking park.
Come to the meetup that we've got in Lichfield, Ed. We've got one
when's that coming up?
October 9th, I think it
is.
In the calendar. It's in the calendar, yeah.
October 9th.
I think it's October 9th, yeah.
Okay.
Have a look.
Great.
See if you can make it.
Okay,
it should be a good one.
I'll probably be up in Birmingham for the festival as well.
Oh, you're awesome.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Lovely.
We'll come and say hello.
Any ticket outs? Can you sneak in if I kind of gander outside and see if I can sneak my way in?
We'll just find a back door. And
there's a shabby-looking character trying to get in through the back door. It'll be Ed.
What we are doing.
I've done that a couple of times in the past. I've done that.
It's all coming out.
Are you talking about Kenny now, or?
I hope there are no show organizers here.
But we're going for a few drinks after the festival, Ed. So if you're around in Birmingham, come and join us then. We'll be.
So where's it at? Where's it happen? Is it outside or mixture of outside inside? I
think, to be honest, for the festival, I don't think it's on for that long. I think it's like 11 till 5 or something like that. So we're planning on going for something to eat and more drinks at other like whiskey bars and stuff after. So you can more.
Okay, so I have no knowledge of any of the whiskey bars in Birmingham at all. So
just come along and we'll.
Okay. I love because my favorite place has always been the Wellington. Every time I'm in,
can't go wrong. Yeah,
you and with the beers and the whiskey selection. I mean, you're sorted. I can spend almost every weekend sitting there. That's my kind of a place. Every
That's
time
probably where you know us from. You probably sat next to us in there.
Every time I'm up there, I remember, and we're having a meeting with guys like Amy and Vic. I was like, where can we meet? Okay, I'm in Wellington. Anytime. So that's a great place, and it's also, I think, the venue for the festival is next door, kind of a thing, in the next building. That at least that's where they used to be. But that is one place I will. Now there is Amy's own bar as well for the whiskey. So that's another place to go for whiskeys in Birmingham.
Cool. Shilton, you don't need any help. You're on a stall at the Birmingham Whiskey Festival.
Sorry?
Are you on a stall?
Yeah, we are at a stand in thing. Okay. I've not got any details with them because we are working with High Spirit, so Sazerac and Paul John together, kind of a thing. and it came from them. So I'm still waiting for more information to.
Let me know if you need an extra pourer, and I'll just sneak in as the pourer for you.
I always need an extra hand. All you need to do is if I get you in, Ed, you only have to be at the stand for like a good 15-20 minutes when I get out and grab a dram for myself.
So you're
okay, by the way, that 15 minutes come every 15 minutes as well.
So I was going to ask, I had a question about that as well. You go to a lot of, or you used to go to a lot of festivals all around Europe, I suppose. Do you see specific characteristics depending on the place you visit, or differences between whiskey festival visitors in Germany compared to Belgium and the UK, or
different? Yeah, I mean, depending on which market you get to. The thing is, for me, it's always been what always drove me with this job is that meeting people. Meeting the same people or new people, it doesn't matter. But it doesn't, even if I have to tell the same story about the brand every day, I'm still fine with it. I never got bored, because the difference is different people. They keep asking you different questions, and you have a chat with people whom you know. Yes, I have found my favorite place. Sorry, but my favorite place is being Belgium. I've got and Menno knows that very well. I've got good friends out there. There is one place I have to move out of the UK. If I have to, then I think I'll be in Belgium anytime.
Always with Steven. You will be with Steven Kreen, probably. Yeah.
Steven Kreen. There is the guys in
a couple who run a restaurant.
Yeah, the guys in Hala or Kinrui, Gunter, and they're great friends. But so Belgium is more like a family. So I've never found myself, I always felt like home when I'm there. Germany is very different. It's a very different market. You will not find familiar faces, but for the brand, people, you will still find, even today, you will find people who are new for Paul John or Indian whiskey in general. They're surprised, some of them in different countries, when you go to Denmark or new markets when they open up. Germany being the biggest market, you will still find people coming. Most of them have never tried an Indian whiskey in it. So I've never found anyone who's been rude to me. So if that's what you want to know, Menno, but never found.
No, I wasn't.
Maybe just because of the looks, and I'm standing over there, like
no. But I was more interested in the way people, the kind of questions they ask, the way they are approaching whiskey. Some people, there are unfortunately still people going to festivals to down as many drams in as little as time possible, and you see them passed out on the pavement after the first hour, or barely standing straight. So
I've seen a lot of people asking me some questions, which, knowing me, Menno, I've never taken them seriously. If you know me very well, I've never taken them seriously. There are people who have come to the brand and said, as I said, Indian whiskey, is it spicy like your food? No, that's not how our whiskey is. So it could be any reason, or I don't know why they have asked it, but for me, it is not. And I always tell them, you're off, Elisa. I've never taken it seriously myself, and I've just taken it as a joke. And I said, well, our food is spicy, not our whiskeys. It's totally different. And there are, we have mentioned over here saying non-chill filtered on the label, and someone will look at it and say, oh, is that a non-chilly whiskey? So I said, well, it's a non-chill filtered. I've tried to be more professional and being very educated. So there are many things that they say. A very common and the funniest one which I have seen is, I wouldn't say stupid, but the funniest one, when someone came to someone came to the stand at some day, it was in Glasgow at a show, and I poured them the bold. The guy smelled it. It gives you a lot of this Isla notes on it because of the peat. And he just said, oh, wow, I love this whiskey. I think my friend will love it, because I'm not a peat drinker myself, but he is more into it. This guy he ran and he brought his friend to the stand. This guy has not even tried it. He's just smelling the whiskey. And he told him that it is the peated whiskey. And after nosing it, the first thing he said is, but I don't find any Lafroig in it. I'm like, wow, that's how good your knowledge is on peated whiskey. Like, when they tell you about it, it's very funny when they say, oh, I know all the whiskeys, I've tried all the whiskeys, and I've got a lot of Chivas Regal with me, I've got a lot of Black Label with me, that's what I drink every day. I'm like, yeah, okay, have you tried Indian whiskey before? So sometimes you have to be very professional and go with it.
When he said there was no Lafroig in it, how did you not say, no shit?
No, the first thing I said, why? I asked him why.
Why?
So why are you expecting a Lafroig in it? And he said, no, because it's a peated whiskey. I said, well, it is then, as I said, I have to be very professional. I said, it's a peated whiskey from India, so you won't find a Lafroig in it.
Like at these festivals, how much of the day is it you just like talking to people who just want to express how much knowledge they've got about whiskey? Because I imagine that people do tend to like to tell everyone how great they are and their knowledge. Is that something you have to really,
especially
kind of
10 grams in? Yeah.
Is it something that like you have to kind of just get used to doing, or does it not happen, or am I imagining that kind of thing happens?
No, there are every festival is a learning thing for us all, which is I take it as. Even working behind the stand, I learn something new every day. So if I am learning, if there is anybody, I've done this in my tasting once, to give you an idea. One of the tastings I was doing, the first thing I said, so how many of you guys in this, your whiskey knowledge is 10 out of 10? And there's one guy who said, well, I know everything about whiskey. So at that point I said, well, you know what, you come on this side of the table, I'm going to have a sit, because I am not 10 out of 10. So you tell me about the whiskeys. I think that was the best answer you could give him. Like, there is no 10 out of 10 in whiskey. You learn something every day. So, I said,
we were that green on our first festival that we went to, the last one, that we held on to our like golden ticket till the end, and then went back to everyone when nothing was left, because we just thought that it was like you just held on to it, and then I want one of those, and they were like, that's all gone. That went about halfway through the day. And we were like, oh, for God's sake. So it's
no dream drams for us.
No dream drams for us.
Well, some festivals, they're gone in the first day. So if you're there like the third day, they're all gone. So you have to get there quick to work out what you want.
So next time we know, just get them in quick. We learn on the job.
No, I've seen someone even at shows. There is I won't tell you which city. I'll tell you which city it is. When you have 8 whiskeys on the table, and someone coming to you with a glass like this, and he just moves on to the other end, from one end to the other end of the range, and he says, "Can I try this whiskey?" And all I said to him was, "Dude, you don't have your glass in your hand, because your glass fell out of your hand." And at the first end, so he's basically gone from that with the glass to without the glass, throwing the glass down. Can I have your whiskey? I'm like,
joking. I watched one of our CEOs did a video, Greg's Whiskey Guide, and he was saying that when he's been at festivals, some people take miniature bottles and ask brands to fill them up for them of all the different ones that you've got. Is that genuine? Do people actually go and expect you to kind of give them samples of everything you've got on the table, kind of?
A lot of people come in. I always appreciate it when someone comes with a small sample bottle, because for me that's the right way of doing it. Because I have seen shows like Limburg in Germany, one of the best festivals I've seen too, because you can try so many different whiskeys over there. I always seen people, my friends in it, when they go with a bag empty miniatures, small samples, and because you have to pay. And when you're paying over there for the samples, it is you rather remember what you're trying other than just drinking it. At a show or even any other thing, the maximum you can try, like proper try and understand the whiskey, is 6 grams. You can't go beyond that. The 7 gram, you're enjoying it, you're not understanding much to learn on it. That's why it's best to just take small samples and bring it home and sit the next day, rather than just getting out as a party to drink. So yes, the small samples, the miniature is the best idea. I've seen a lot of people doing it, especially if you know which brand is going to be there, and if you go planned with it. Some of the shows do not allow that,
Yeah,
the guys that
Gent-
don't let you in with those empty bottles, I've seen, but I think that is wrong.
I bypassed that.
It might be my sorry.
It said no sample bottles, so I just brought a jerry can with me, but that didn't fly either. So
it might be my inexperience, but I would just feel so cheeky saying, "Can you fill these up for me to take home?" I don't know what it is. I almost feel like it's a privilege to even try it, let alone ask to take it home. It's like,
but I
don't know, it's weird.
I have to say, every distillery we've ever visited, they've been really good for like designated drivers. They always give their drams in a like they're quite open for that. They're quite
but that's one or two, but not like every store.
No, I suppose, yeah.
I'd feel cheeky doing it, to be honest. That's probably why I was so drunk at the last one.
I think you should try that next whiskey show. Is I'm a designated driver. Can I have it filled up for me and see what they can?
I think that would be
It might be the way forward, mightn't it?
No, the way you say you're a designated driver, it's going to be more and more common. When I did it about 6 years ago, I was the only one. I was on my bike. And well, I had some sample bottles with me, asking them to fill, and well, that's okay. But in the years after that, you see more and more people. And I think about 3 years ago, they provide everyone who is a driver with free sample bottles. Yeah, it's getting more and more common.
I think that's the best thing to do. I mean, I don't understand why the show organizers do not let people get into with the small sample bottles. I think that's kind of.
I mean, as long you most of the time you're paying by the dram. So what? I don't see the issue really.
I mean, it's still funny. One of the European festivals where one of the guys came and he really enjoyed the whiskey and he said, "Shilton, can I take the empty bottle from you? Empty bottle."
Yes.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong in that. I'm anyways going to throw it in the bin. Said, yeah, you can take it. He was stopped at the security. My distributor, along with the security, came to me and said, why did you give the bottle to him? And it was, I mean, it's towards the end of the show. I asked my distributor the two things I need to ask you. A, he's taking an empty bottle. So he's not just robbed it or stole it from my stand. So it's okay. B, if you think he stole it and he drank it, what was the security doing all the time till he finished off that bottle from my stand? So I've given an empty bottle.
It's crazy, isn't it?
The problem with empty bottles is that people can pour them and try to sell them on, particularly for their high-end whiskey bottles.
They do.
Right? And fill them up.
You can buy empty bottles on eBay all the time.
Yeah. I think we have one or two more questions from the chat.
We had one from Mick who wants Nick to ask it for him.
So I'm like Mick, I know the answer to this question, but I think he wants to share it with the group. He said he's seeing your new ink on your right arm. Do you want to explain what it is, Shilton?
I just got it done 16th of this month. I think, 16th of this month. That's my newborn Callum with the date. That was 18th May. Awesome. I always wanted to do a tattoo myself, and I wanted to do it, and I never could decide what, because if you're doing ink, if you're putting it, it has to be something which because it's there for your life. And I've gone through all the designs and done it. I'm like, I wasn't making up my mind. And then the little dude was born on the 18th last month. I said, okay, this is it. I know what tattoo I need now. And I got
something sort them out themselves. Huh?
Yeah, everybody, like Kenny, the first thing Kenny said, was, Kenny did a tasting with you guys, like he was there on this, right? Kenny was in this group for a chat?
He did a tasting with it in February.
So you all know Kenny, So the first thing Kenny sent to me as a message saying, I hope, Shilton, I hope you don't have 8 kids. Because you won't have enough place on it.
I've actually done some tattooing myself. I started to learn how to do it, and that's why I was interested, because I love symbolism.
No, I just went off yesterday to register him his birth in the council over here, and the lady saw that and she said, "Oh, what is this?" And I just explained to her the date. I said to her, Well, at least I won't forget his birthday because of the next question. Then the next question is she asked me, "What's your date of marriage?" And that's when I paused. I'm like, "Okay, hold on."
Well, that's the next tattoo then.
She said to me, "Shilton, I think you need one more tattoo."
That's awesome. And Nick had a question he wants to ask himself.
Congratulations on Callum's birth, Shilton.
Thanks, Nick.
Like the tattoo. So my question was more about when Ed covers your stand for 15 minutes, what are the first 2 other stands you would go to and why?
Well,
you can't say Kenny's.
Yeah, not Kenny. Will Kenny have a stand there? Yeah, you can't get Kenny.
It will depend on which brands are there. I am always keen on trying something new from everyone. With the priority I will sort out is something peated, going right on top in the list. So if I know of that this brand has got something peated new release, I will definitely jump into it to try it first. Because there is always a day to try something else. But my first thing, I know that these guys have released, I will go. If not, I will always turn around to my favorite brands and say, like, for example, whenever Ed is covering and I don't know about anything, I will go to Porter's Cake and say, can I try 100 proof? Because I love that ram. Just to go back to it. Or go to Kiloman and say, can I try what's new? Or go to Pete Monster Compass Box and say, can I try your Pete Monster again? And Celine, who used to work with them, she's like, Shilton, she'll try that. And people know me. If I walk into Milroy's in London, the first thing they say, Katie, who's a good friend, she always said, when there is something new, like, Shilton, you should try this. You really like a dirty whiskeys, right? You should try that. I love that term when every time someone comes to me and says you like a dirty whiskeys, because I seriously love those.
You're famous on the circuit as the dirty whiskey man. That's what you're saying.
Hashtag dirty whiskey. No, yes, I'm sure this is coming from point, Nick, where you want to know what is your favorite whiskey other than Paul John, and that's why that question saying which stand do you want to John.
I suspect I'm doing what a lot of people are doing, which is trying to look at the cabinet behind you and work out what is in there that isn't Paul John.
That there is only Paul John. I only drink Paul John officially. I'm definitely
and Belgian beer. Paul John and Belgian beer.
I've been sipping a beer all the time, not a Belgian one, but I've discovered this last week, and I'm in love with this beer from Tonbridge. It's Green Mountain. I'm in love with that. So that's only Paul John in front. Behind that, you will see a smoke head somewhere here, I think, if it's on Zoom, or I don't know. There is a Bimber there. There is. They've got some Turabeg down there from the new ones, and Kiloman, the Lockgom 2018. My whiskey of the year in 2018, the favorite whiskey I've tried 2018, and I've tried it last year during lockdown, is Cask Isla Sherry Edition. I don't know if you have tried it. I tried it in the London Whiskey Show, Cask Isla Sherry Edition, because I like that again. I said, this is the best whiskey I've tried all year. And last year, just before the Brexit happened, I saw it in Netherlands with Dramtime Mano on their website. They had like 2 or 3 bottles. I called up Tom, like, I'm taking all 3. Tom is like, thank you for emptying my shelf, Shilton. So I found it. It was a very difficult one to find. It's not a high priced one, but something which I love. So if you love it, go for it. As simple as that. So those are my style of whiskeys. You'll see. Pete Hart from Eggnog, yeah,
I know.
There is Pete Monster is something which I always liked. There are certain drams which are very close to me. One of the reasons is the Rock Island from Douglas Lane, which was a rock oyster. When I say close to me, is because every time I just pour it in the glass and nose it, it takes me straight away to Goa because of that sea salty character into it. So that is Goa for me. I can imagine myself, if you can say, just take a glass and standing on the beach in Goa. That dram does that to me. So yeah, there are different one. I can pick up one from different distillery. There is no one particular favorite distillery. Add an 18 to pick one from there. Glen Scotia Victoriana, all-time favorite. I can pick one from there. Glen Scotia had done a Ruby Port 2018. The Ruby Port, I think it was. I drank at least 6 bottles of those. It was so good. I love it. So I can pick one from every distillery.
Did you prefer the Ruby Port to the Tawny?
Yes, the Ruby Port over the Tawny for me. Yes, 2018 was the Ruby. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first one. Yeah.
That was the one which I picked for me. Kiloman, I love them, but my favorite is the 2018 Loch Gum. I tried the 19. I wasn't that much comparingly, but 2018 is the best one for me. So I can pick one every time. When you're talking about Pete Monster and Celine told me, Shilton, I've got a big Magnum bottle. I'm like, I'll buy it from you right away.
It's strange, isn't it? Because I'm thinking of about 3 whiskies I immediately want to send you now. I think Alan thinking, I've got an Aaron I'd like to send Shilton now.
Though the last tasting I was doing with Ruth. I don't know if you know Ruth from Leeds, and they run the Leeds Fellowship Whiskey Club or something. So I was doing a tasting with them, and she said, "Oh, we want to send you some samples. What kind of whiskey?" They're like, "Send me anything peated. I'm okay with it. Only peated." And that's a problem. I could never end up keeping a peated whiskey in my collection. Never. Every time I bought a peated whiskey, I keep thinking of keeping it for my collection, and I said, "Nah, it's gone." So unpeated whiskey, I think I can save it for a longer time.
Shilton, do you do other than just these chats that we do? Do you do any like sample packs that we could maybe do and do a tasting with them? Or
I don't do myself as a tasting pack. I can always send the bottles, and we can always, if you guys, that's how whiskey clubs work. Yeah. That you buy those miniatures and you put it on. Most of the whiskey clubs do it, and then they send the samples across. That is one option. The other option is maybe get a store do it for you, because I know there are miniatures as well, which are 50 ml. So that is one option. Or if you want to, I don't do it, but if you're thinking of doing it, and if you don't want to do it, then I can always find somebody who can do it for you, and you can just pick it up, buy it from him.
Awesome, brilliant, thank you. I mean, we like to do some of the tastings and things like that, and I think it's just it's nice if we can maybe go on from this and do a tasting, so that maybe if there's some of the expressions that you do that people haven't tried, then we can. Of course,
I mean, if it is in person, I can definitely come in. But if it is virtual, that you're planning on, I mean, I can always sort you out with the liquid. That's not a problem. The only challenge is about someone actually doing that miniatures and the cost of the miniature, which is
just bring 50 empty sample bottles to the Birmingham Whiskey Festival. And
yeah,
you are a bad man.
Absolutely, no argument from my side.
Typical Belgian.
Yeah, we'll
How big do you think my handbag is going to be on that day?
Not that big. No, we'll try and arrange that though, Shilton. It would be great. I think our members would love to do it.
I will love to do it. The only thing is that if I agree on what you just said to do, then the problem will be that I personally will have to do it all. So I'm not accepting it.
We've done many, and we all chip in and we all help out, so it won't be.
No, I will sort out the liquid for you for sure. So no, that's not to worry.
Brilliant. Cheers, my friend. That's great. Menno, hand over to you.
Yeah. If does anybody have any final questions for Shilton? Because we occupied him for over an hour and a half already. So
just one, Andy, if I may, Menno.
Go ahead.
Evening, Shilton.
Absolutely.
Do you have a whiskey hero, past and present?
Wow, a whiskey hero.
Sort of distiller or
again, you can't say Ken. You won't.
Well, it's a thing. You got me here. You got me here on this. I never thought of it as a whiskey hero. If someone says, "Do you have someone who will want to have a dram with and all that?" Yes, I've got an answer for that. But the whiskey hero, I have really enjoyed having a good chat. I'm talking about big names in the industry. always enjoyed having a good chat and the company of Charles McLean. Every time I met him, we had great fun. I like his attitude towards whiskey, having this lovely chat, having fun, having a good laugh. So, and sharing a dram with him, I always loved it. So I will pick him as if that helps. Someone which I wish I could have a dram with will be my father all the time, because I lost my dad when I was 9 years old. So I always say that I wish I could have a dram with him. My first dram ever was also something which he used to work on the ship. So when on his travels back, he used to bring those miniatures. I mean, it's not a big whiskey enthusiast at that time, I will say. But I still have one of those. And my first whiskey, which I kind of sneaked out from the cupboard, from the shelf, and drank, was a Long John blended whiskey, the miniature of a Long John. That's the first one I tried. So, drank. I wouldn't say tried. Drank is the right word. So I wish I could have a dram with him and have a good chat. But that saying on, I look forward to have in the future is with this little fellow. And I've been saying that there are two things that can happen. That I will want him to bring me back home from the pub once I'm drunk, or I bring him back from the pub. Either one.
That's fair enough. Thank you.
That's a very nice way to close this wonderful chat, I think. So, Shilton, thank you very much for lending your time to all of us. I think this was a great chat. Very informative, very laid back, very funny as well at times. So thank you for that. We've got a busy week, a busy weekend for the CEOs, because Sunday night we've got another event planned. It's the Whiskey and Metal evening, and apparently there's a quiz at the end as well. And the auction, the melanoma auction, is live from today. So get involved, peeps. All profits go to the melanoma. UK, I think, Nick, that's your.
Yeah, myeloma UK. All the profits go to that. We're pushing to the £5,000 mark at the moment, so it's gone great guns.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
You said
it's got some seriously cool.
I was going to say the ambition was £1,000 in year one, so we've done 5,000 nearly in 6 months, so it's going really well. So yeah, be generous.
That's brilliant.
There's a great blanket as well if anybody's feeling a bit cold.
I know, so good. So
it's going up in price as we speak. That is. We're the most expensive blanket.
It actually fits on a king size bed, not a double bed.
There you go.
There you go.
It's, we can cut it in half if two people want.
You're definitely banned.
Sorry. I'll buy the t-shirt. Don't worry. Yeah, so it's been brilliant. So yeah, thank you all for that, and hopefully we can get up there up to the 5,000. But Menno, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you, and Shilton, thank you so much.
Thank you.
One final question. You've done the Christmas editions. So the most important question of all.
Prepare,
Die Hard.
Shilton.
Is it the Christmas movie? Is it a Christmas movie?
He's gone.
Then football.
I don't blame him.
Me feels like he's been prepped for this.
No. I saw a comment of someone saying, "Are you going to ask the question?" So that's when I said, "Okay, this is being Menno is being Menno now." Okay, Menno.
No. This is
Let's all lean in. You want to know what? Come on, we want to know the answer. It's recording. Ask the question again, Menno.
Go on.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Yes or yes?
If you ask me, I've seen. Die Hard. Is there? You're talking about part 1, part 2, anything like that?
No, just part one.
General.
Is it a Christmas movie?
For me, it is a no.
Ooh.
I don't find any Christmassy. Home Alone could be a Christmassy movie for me. If you ask me.
So the Christmas carols and the snow and the
I mean,
No, you said it.
Fair enough.
Who do
At the
really
end-
want
at the
to?
end-
Who do really want to fight with guns and bombs for a Christmas day? Come on.
At the end of the
That's
day,
not a
nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
That's
It was going
horrendous. I've got to leave now in disgust, Shilton. That's horrendous.
All right, I'm never buying a
I've
Paul
changed
John.
my mind. I don't want to be on that store with you. I don't know if I can be on the store with someone who doesn't see Die Hard as a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Thank you ever so much, Shilton, for your time tonight. Thank you, everybody, for tonight. It's been great fun. I hope we see you in person somewhere in Birmingham in the bar.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ed.
Best
Looking
come
forward.
to us. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you so much. Thank you, mate.
See what you did, Shilton.
See what you did, Shilton, there. That's a powerful...
I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand of it calling it as a Christmas. I can see the vibe on it, but I don't understand why everyone. I will say, as I said before, I will definitely Home Alone gives me more Christmassy vibe than Die Hard. Die Hard is like you're killing someone and all this stuff. Why do you want to do that in Christmas time? Where's all the nice, good, happy feel? You know, I don't see that. Saying that, I'm a big fan of Die Hard. I love Die Hard. Okay?
Just not
point that. If there is a new Die Hard coming tomorrow, I'll still sit and enjoy that. I love that movies, but I don't connect that with Christmas. That's me personally. Hate me if you want to, but that's me.
So you've never been to Glasgow on Christmas then?
It doesn't say a word for the entire evening, and then he kills it with nonsense.
It's like mic drop.
Well, I will experience that hopefully for the next Christmas because I'm planning to move up there, Ellen. So yeah.
Oh, nice one. That's where I am. So
I'm
catch some drums.
I'm only moving to experience that Die Hard Christmas feel. So this is something you ask everyone, right?
No, it just started somewhere late
Running
last
gag.
year. Yeah, and it just became sort of a running gag. So
So is this what did Kenny say?
I think he said yes. I don't know. I can't remember if we asked him, but I think he said yes.
Everybody says yes.
I'm the only person who said no.
No, there are a few
Oh, no.
others. There are a few others.
You've made Helen very happy. Look at Helen's face.
At least, yeah.
No, the only thing is that it doesn't give me any Christmassy vibe. That's all. I don't know. I see people celebrating and all that stuff, but it doesn't give me any Christmassy vibe. I don't want. Christmas is nice and happy time. Come on, I don't want someone fighting and throwing bombs at each other and fighting at each other and all this stuff. So that's it. I've got a last line to say if that's okay. If you want to say before someone else.
Yours.
Something which I come across and a lot of people say, what is the best way to enjoy a Paul John or how is the best way to enjoy a whiskey if someone is new in tasting or never tried a whiskey? With water, without water, ice, and that's what they are coming from with the cola or whatever. Yes, you can. The moment the whiskey goes in the glass, it is your whiskey. Enjoy it the way you want to. There are so many people who say, I don't add a mixer. I don't add any mixer to my whiskey. I want to enjoy it neat. It's your whiskey. It doesn't matter what you're gonna add into it. We people working behind the brand or someone on this side of the table can always tell you, or for example, Anthony and Nikki, you guys doing the channel, you can always tell them how you can enjoy it. With some water, it opens up and you get more flavors. Adding some ice to it, it's a nice, refreshing drink. I love it. Adding an ice to a whiskey. The only most important thing to enjoy a dram is the right company and a good meal and a good mood, which is difficult to get. If you set up, you can get the most expensive whiskey from your collection, sit by yourself, not in a good mood, and not enjoy that dram. And you can pick up 20-pound bottle from the supermarket, get along with your friends, do the craziest shit in the park, and have the best time of your life, and come home. It doesn't matter what you're drinking, it's whom you drink with. So that is more important. That is my last line. I always say, add water, add cola. I mean, we are 1.4 billion people in India, one of the biggest whiskey market in the world. And we drink our whiskey with cola and soda water, and we're still happy and enjoying our lives.
Brilliant. Absolutely.
Yes.
I'll drink to that.
No, it gets very controversial, man. I'm sure you guys or you guys in the globe getting in the industry, and everyone says I don't add water, don't add ice.
But I think that's changing as well now. I mean, there's over the past few years, there's so many new people coming into whiskey, enjoying it. I think the days of snobbery, I wouldn't say they're past us, but completely anyway. But I think more and more people enjoying the whiskey, and they don't need anybody to tell them you should drink it like this or you shouldn't drink it like that. You just enjoy it. It's just whiskey. Even it can be brilliant, it can be life-changing, it can be very, very expensive, but it's just a drink. You enjoy it the way you want.
We get people across. Every time I go up to tasting sessions, I find someone in the club, one of the club members or two, who have always said this to me on the face, saying, I do not add water to any of my whiskeys. And all I had to say to them is, if you do not do that, I really feel sorry for you, my friend, because you are missing out. It's not anybody else. You are missing out because you're trying that dram for the first time. Play around with it. Tomorrow, when you buy a bottle, it's all yours. You know how to drink it. But the first time, play around with it to get that sweet spot where you like it. It can be with water or without, but just figure that out. It's like, oh no, I don't drink with ice and all. That's so funny. That's so funny. And I'm like, you're missing out, not me. I can only tell you. Cola. A lot of people are against it. Okay, fine. We drink the Indian whiskey, which is a molasses-based spirit with Coke, because it's refreshing. We have a sweet tooth. There are reasons behind that. But moving over here, I have tried, and I love to have a peated whiskey with cola. A peated whiskey and a cola is a fantastic drink. You actually
Smoky
get that.
Coke,
Smoky Coke, there you go. You open up that thing. So it's a nice, refreshing drink. I only say, if you're doing that, do not buy an expensive whiskey. That's the only suggestion. Don't spend 200 on it and then come back and pour a cola in it.
Just that just popped across my mind. Why do they refer to molasses-based spirit as
cheaper,
as whiskey and not as rum?
Cheaper.
It
is. There is no such rule in India to do that, of calling it as whiskey. Now things have changed. It's a bit strict on certain level of what you want to call it, a single malt and all that. But there were no such rules, or not strict rules. At that point, okay, to start off with, British coming in India in the 18th century, before they introduced drinking to the Indians, especially north of India, at the foothills of Himalayas, was a summer camp. It was a British summer camp. Introducing drink, before that, people were on opium. That's what was the poison for them. So you're cutting off from the poison, you're introducing a new poison, which is drinking. And after independence, you're saying you can't make it, right? So now by that time, you're into drinking. You've stopped your thing, what you were doing, and you're into drinking. So you start looking for alternatives. Molasses spirit came in the picture because that was cheaper. And you had flavors and caramel now there are many whiskeys which says blended with scotch, 1% of it maybe. That doesn't, maybe a teaspoon. It doesn't say how much, but then I've got a sample. If I get an opportunity next time, whenever I'm at the show, or just send me a note, I'll try to bring one of that molasses spirit with me, whiskey, and you can try it. After 2-3 whiskeys at a show, that if you have that as a fourth whiskey, it's like any other whiskey. You won't find a difference in it. So yeah, it is a whiskey. The only problem is that people have it with cola.
Coke, so it'd be like a mixer,
It's like a mixer, and so it doesn't really matter how it tastes like, and nobody actually knows what it tastes like. Like, what are the tasting notes on it? I'm like, okay, it's a nice. It's like an alcoholic drink. That's it. It can be anything.
Okay, cheers.
So that's how the thing is. But that if you look at Officer's Choice, if you go on the Spirits Business website and look at the top 10 selling whiskeys
that's way
in
up
the
there,
world, Officer's Choice will be number 1 or number 2. They sell about 35 million cases a year. 9-liter cases. That's huge numbers. And most of it, I would say around 90% of it is only in India. It's only in India. So that's a lot of consumption going on there.
Mhm.
Plus there is brandy. Plus there is rum.
Mhm.
Now, south in India, Kerala and Karnataka is a brandy market.
Mhm.
And there is rum. Gin, not so big. Now it's changing. Gin is getting in the market. Otherwise, beers for us in Goa. Beers will do. Kingfisher, which we have tried
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much for your time and all the great stories and the information and the insights. It was a pleasure having you. And I'm looking forward to meeting in real life.
In
again
real
soon.
life, yeah. Probably with the next
Like
show
we
or
all
something.
do. I'm hoping to make it to Ghent. There's only one issue. My godchild is turning 18 that very weekend. The show is on, so I'm hoping to arrange things I can attend. So, but it'll depend on what
Take them with you,
celebration
man.
she has.
Menno, there can't be a better 18th birthday gift than taking your.
I feel my sister might disagree.
You can say educational purpose. It's an educational one. I'm teaching them how to drink and about the drinks industry.
And that's initiation, isn't it? Surely.
Yeah.
Nice, perfect, guys. I hope to see you guys in person at some point.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Thank
Definitely.
you so much, all of you.
If you,
it's been really good this evening.
Yeah,
It's
if
been a
you
pleasure.
if you see me somewhere at the show, come and say hello. If you see me somewhere at the train station, also come and say hello. There are chances that I will have some whiskey in my pocket or in my bag somewhere, so we can have a dream. You can have a dram at any train station. Not to worry. So yep,
We will definitely seek you out. Don't you worry. We'll see you there.
Perfect. Cheers, guys. Have a good time.
Thank you for joining us.
Cheers, thanks,
Thank you,
Shilton.
guys.
Bye.